everybody. Welcome to Myanmar Today Review, and this is where we visit the top stories for this week from Myanmar Today. Here are the reports from our reporters from this week. Dora Swizin has all the story on how State Counsellor holds a video conference with COVID-19 frontline warriors. Akajo got the latest report on G20 leaders and President Xi discussed strategy to restore global economy. Yan 9 will give us all the details on pesticides sprayed in Yangon's markets to help prevent COVID-19. Dora Swizin has the story on deceased of 69 years old of COVID-19 patient suffering cancer of the nasal cavity, the first death from COVID-19 in Myanmar. Agajo has the full story on how China gradually returns to normal. Before we get to the reports, let's take a look at the featured local news from this week. Seattle's and monks, led by Chairman of the State Sangha Mahatnayaka Committee, Bamo Seattle, Dr. Badanda Kumara, Bivensa recited Parita Suttas across Myanmar by special flight on Wednesday to be free from pandemic disease for Myanmar citizens. Yangon Region Chief Minister U Pyo-min-thein and officials paid homage to the Seattles and monks led by the State Sangha Mahanayaka Committee Chairman at the Yangon International Airport and donated cash. Seattles and monks left Yangon by special flight in the morning, and the flight was made along the Ayeyarwady River route. Seattles and monks, led by Bamo Seattle, recited Parita Suttas and dispensed metta for Myanmar people to be free from pandemic disease. Union Minister for Social Welfare Relief and Resettlement, Dr. Wimya A., organized a meeting on Tuesday with departmental heads, civil organizations, and local NGOs to discuss the ministry's participation in containment and emergency responses to the COVID-19 cases. At the meeting, the Union Minister discussed systematic implementation of community-based facility quarantine for the elderly persons, pregnant women, and people with disabilities. He also emphasized coordination with relevant departments, Red Cross Society, civil organizations, and non-governmental organizations under the guidelines of the National Level COVID-19 Central Committee, readiness of essential protective equipment, and the estimated costs and awareness programs on directives, rules, and laws among the public. And I believe it's time now for our first report. To listen to the needs and difficulties in the ground situations when fighting against COVID-19, State Counsellor Daw Aung San Suu Kyi held a video conference with frontline warriors, including health workers and civil society groups members. In the video conference held on the 1st of April, State Counsellor took note of how the government can take actions for the points presented by 4 participants.
State Counsellor Daw Aung San Suu Kyi, in her capacity as the chairperson of the National Level Central Committee on Prevention, Control and Treatment of COVID-19, held a video conference with the health workers and members of civil society who are carrying out anti-COVID-19 measures on 1st April. The State Counsellor mentioned that this video conference was aimed to listen to the difficulties happening in the ground situations as well as to find the solutions of how the government can manage. Donnin Tatanai, a midwife at Singuji Village Health Center in Ngaburo Township of Ayeyarwady Region, Dr. King Yupaso from Hlaintaya Township Public Health Department, U Kamyatu from our Volunteers Group, and U San Mao from the We Love Yangon, presented short briefings regarding the current situations of their anti-COVID-19 measures in their respective areas. The health workers presented that some people are not acceptable to be under home quarantine. Regarding this, the State Counsellor mentioned that the participation of the citizens is required, and she urged to follow the quarantine system for the goodwill of individuals and others. Moreover, Don Nintadanai mentioned that to carry out home quarantine or facility quarantine in remote areas, there is not enough necessary items such as water, protective suits, and transportation is also a difficult access. The State Councillor take note to provide enough water and to solve for transportation. Dr. King Yubaso mentioned that the day laborers are not in the state of staying at home or being under quarantine. Regarding this issue, the State Councillor replied.
I can understand the life of the workers. They have to work every day to earn money, but they also have to understand the life-threatening disease. If they are infected, they will not be able to continue any work, so they need to be very cautious. However, people should not be afraid so much. They just need to live very consciously. For the workers, we will collaborate with the workers-related organization for their living, or other people have to hurt. Don't collect too much foodstuff. We're trying to control not to raise commodity price.
The State Councillor encouraged the health workers not to worry too much, and the government will try to support essential protective items and requested them to be patient when raising awareness to the public. The volunteer groups also presented their needs and difficulties such as transportation. Moreover, concerning the foodstuff, the State Councillor said that there is no likelihood of shortage. She also gave advice to the volunteer group We Left Yangon, which wants to support meals to the monasteries. The State Councillor advised that this can be carried out in line with the word. The volunteers can support the raw foodstuffs and the residents can help cooking for the monks. The State Councillor also mentioned that if it is to lock down an area in the last stage, the government will do the necessary procedures ahead and announce the public ahead. At the moment, just the streets where the confirmed cases stayed are in the lockdown status. Till 1st April, there are 16 confirmed cases, including one deceased case. And the street where the case 16 lived has been placed on lockdown.
We have placed the street on lockdown. Little representative, ward administrators, and volunteer group of the ward are taking care of people in the street by providing assistance to them. There are 26 contact persons with case 16, so we reported to the region health department and region government to take all 26 people to special quarantine zone.
The State Councillor urged to raise self-awareness and to pass the period of quarantine with all morale. The citizens are asked not to panic but to stay with consciousness. That's all for now. This is Dora Switzer from MI Radio.
That's the report on how State Councillor holds a video conference with COVID-19 frontline warriors. 20 leaders and President Xi discuss strategy to restore global economy. Saudi Arabia, which currently holds the G20 presidency, last week called for the virtual summit following criticism that the powerful group of major economies had been slow to address the global crisis. The report covers the key points President Xi and G20 leaders discussed during the summit.
Leaders of the Group 20 G20 major economies were committed to inject over $5 trillion to prop up the global economy as part of their joint measures to blunt economic fallout from the COVID-19 pandemic. The pandemic, which is expected to trigger a global recession, has infected over 500,000 people worldwide, and the death toll reached over 23,000. The amount of spending measures this time is equal to that pledged against the global financial crisis in 2009. President Xi calls on all G20 members to act with unity to restore confidence for global economic recovery.
我呼吁20国集团成员采取共同举措，减免关税、取消壁垒、畅通贸易，发出有力信号，提振世界经济，复苏士气。
Masaji Ne-win from China Media Group CRI Myanmar Department explained.
ဒီအစည်းအဝေးမှာG20 အဖွဲ့ဝင်နိုင်ငံတွေတက်ရောက်မယ်။နောက်နိုင်ငံတွေတက်ရောက်မယ်။သက်ဆိုင်ရာနိုင်ငံတကာအဖွဲ့အစည်းကတာဝန်ရှိပုဂ္ဂိုလ်တွေတက်ရောက်မယ်လို့ကျမတို့သိရပါတယ်။နောက်ပြီးဒီအစည်းအဝေးကနေကျင်းပတဲ့အတွက်ကြောင့်မို့လို့G20 အဖွဲ့ဝင်နိုင်ငံအချင်းချင်းပေါ့နော်အတူလက်တွဲပြီးတော့အောင်ကျွေးရလက်တွေရရှိနိုင်မယ်။နောက်ပြီးတော့အတူတူပူးပေါင်းဆောင်ရွက်ညှိနှိုင်းမှုအတွက်ကိုလည်းတရုတ်နိုင်ငံတွေနဲ့တွန်းအားပေးနိုင်မှုမျှော်လင့်တဲ့အကြောင်းပေါ့နော်သတင်းတွေအရကျမတို့သိရပါတယ်ရှင်။
Saudi Arabia, which currently holds the G20 presidency, last week called for the virtual summit following criticism that the powerful group of major economies had been slow to address the global crisis. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Thursday also urged a collective tariff reduction within the group of G20 bloc, a strong call to boost confidence and combat a potential virus-driven global recession. President Xi also calls on G20 members to enhance macroeconomic policy coordination.
疫情对全球生产和需求造成全面冲击，各国应该联手加大宏观政策对称力度，防止世界经济陷入衰退。要实施有力有效的财政货币政策，加强金融监管协调，共同维护全球产业链供应链稳定。
Manufacturing capacity will be expanded to meet the increasing needs for medical supplies, which will be made widely available at an affordable price on an equitable basis, according to the statement. As many countries implement export bans on medical supplies, the G20 leaders also agreed to ensure the trade flow of the vital medical supplies, critical agricultural products, and other goods and services across borders. Moreover, President Xi calls on G20 members to fight all-out war against
国际社会应该加紧行动起来，坚决打好新冠肺炎疫情防控全球阻击战，遏制疫情蔓延势头。中方秉持人类命运共同体理念，愿同各国分享防控有益做法，开展药物和疫苗联合研发，并向出现疫情扩散的国家提供力所能及的援助。
This is Agajo reporting for Myanmar International Radio.
That's the report on G20 leaders and President Xi discuss strategy to restore global economy. Moving on to the third report. Awareness on how to prevent COVID-19 is being raised in all parts of the country at this moment. As part of preventive measures against the novel coronavirus, chlorine pesticides are being sprayed in the markets where they are crowded with people in Yangon. Pamphlets are being provided for the people to contain COVID-19. Temperature tests are being performed and hand wash campaigns are being launched. The campaign to prevent COVID-19 was launched in Yangon recently, and it was jointly organized by departmental officials of Yangon City Development Committee, We Love Yangon, community-based Burita, local representatives from Yangon region, government, and artists. Year 9 reports.
Awareness of how to prevent COVID-19 is being raised in all parts of the country at this moment. As part of preventive measures against the novel coronavirus, chlorine pesticides are being sprayed in the markets where are crowded with people in Yangon. Pamphlets are being provided for the people to contain COVID-19. Temperature tests are being performed and hand wash campaigns are being launched. The campaign to prevent COVID-19 was launched in Yangon recently, and it was jointly organized by Departmental Official of Yangon City Development Committee, We Love Yangon community-based Prahita, local representatives from Yangon region government, and artists. The preventive measure campaign against COVID-19 will be launched in the whole Yangon, said Dr. Mia, chairperson of We Love Yangon community-based Prahita, who is member of YCDC. Dr. Mia, member of YCDC, said,
Now, Bazuna Market has formed Greening and Environmental Conservation Team. The team is to always carry out the task. If there are teams like this everywhere, Yangon will stay clean for long, and it will be a better place to live in, and it will prevent the risk of being infected with any disease. The most important thing is that the markets have to pay more attention to health and sanitation. Both the buyers and the sellers should pay attention to health. Hands must be washed in a systematic manner. It is necessary to wash hands after we touch something. Hands must have been washed before we touch our noses and mouths. Before exposure to respiratory routes, washing hands is the main business.
အသက်ရှူလမ်းကြောင်းတွေကိုဓာတ်ရိုက်မထိခင်ဆေးရမှာပေါ့နော်အဓိကကတော့ဒါပါပဲ
Most of the shopkeepers are worried about when the glowing pesticide is sprayed in the markets. Foodstuffs are not directly sprayed. The places where meat and fish are sold are mainly sprayed. The campaign mustn't be launched in groups, but they must be effective only with fewer people. There are a lot of 178 markets in Yangon region. Municipal committee members from the respective townships, local representatives, and We Love Yangon community-based Prahita will keep on taking preventive measures against COVID-19. Kaine Wei, an address, said,
We must prevent COVID-19 cautiously. We mustn't be careless about COVID-19. We must raise public awareness. Cooperation is needed. We don't need to feel too panicky. We should follow and practice suggestions issued by the Ministry of Health and Sports.
Precautionary measures against COVID-19 are being beefed up in the regions and states. Government's efforts are very encouraging, said the shopkeepers. Dowawa, a shopkeeper from Bazundang Market in Yangon, said,
The entire people follows rules and regulations laid down by the government. We should pay attention to staying healthy. The government is taking such precautionary measures against COVID-19. It is the best way for the people to follow the instruction given by the ministry.
According to news released on COVID-19 issue at 8:15 p.m. on 25th March by Ministry of Health and Sports, that COVID-19 have infected more than 195 countries with 375,439 global positive lab tests, 16,362 deaths, and 4% of global mortality rate. The COVID-19 status in Myanmar as of 12 p.m. on 25th March show that there are 275 suspected patients and quarantined. A total of 212 patients are tested negative for COVID-19 and 61 lab tests are still in progress, according to the Ministry of Health and Sports.
That's the report on how pesticides sprayed in Yangon's markets to help prevent COVID-19. In the morning of 31st March, the first deceased from COVID-19 in Myanmar was announced. He was a 69-year-old male who was suffering from cancer of the nasal cavity. Till the 31st of March, there were 15 confirmed cases of COVID-19 infection, including one deceased case.
Out of 15 confirmed cases for COVID-19 infection, case 05, who is a 69-year-old male, has been announced to be the first deceased patient in the morning of 31st March. The Ministry of Health and Sports released the detailed information about the disease of the patient case 05. The deceased patient, who is 69 years old, living in Mingladang township of Yangon, has been suffering from the cancer of the nasal cavity since January of 2019. He was treated with radiation therapy in Australia till May of 2019. In February of 2020, he went back to Australia for the secondary checkup. He flew back from Australia to Singapore on 10 March and landed in Myanmar on 14 March. Starting from 18 March, he had been suffering the symptoms of cough, fever, and sore throat, so that he was hospitalized at the ICU of Yangon General Hospital on 25th March. His laboratory result showed positive for COVID-19 disease, and he was confirmed to be the case 05 of Myanmar. On 27 March, he was hospitalized at ICU of Weibagi Specialist Hospital. At 7:25 a.m. in the morning of 31st March, the decease of the patient K05 was announced and the Ministry of Health and Sports released the cause of death. According to the Ministry of Health and Sports (MOHS), the causes of death are acute respiratory distress syndrome with septic shock, COVID-19 with severe community-acquired pneumonia, and underlying CNOs with radiotherapy.
The death is because of immediate cause, which is acute respiratory distress syndrome with septic shock. He was also suffering severe community-acquired pneumonia because of COVID-19 infection. For the underlying cause, he was possessed of nasal cancer. Because of the treatment of radiotherapy, his immune system was getting down. He had been suffered from cancer and taking radiotherapy and necessary medicine, so that his immune system was not strong enough to fight against COVID-19.
Elder people, persons with chronic diseases, people who have been using steroids for long run, and those suffering from immunodeficiency are more likely to suffer from life-threatening symptoms when infected with COVID-19.
Out of the rest 13 confirmed patients, case 8 is being treated at ICU. She is 60 years old and also has underlying diseases. Except the elder patient, the others are in good conditions. They are professional healthcare professors at the respective hospitals, where the infected patients are being hospitalized. They are giving medical treatment according to the guidelines adopted by WHO.
The family members of K05 are still in home quarantine. The case 10 who had contact with the deceased K05 is being hospitalized at Wibagi Specialist Hospital.
The people from the ward, administration team, and volunteer group are assisting in any essential aid for the bereaved family members. The dead body was transferred to Tame Bin Cemetery by volunteer group. Although 3 family members can come to the cemetery, his eldest son, who lives in Australia, requested the family not to go but to stay home and to follow the guidelines of the government.
According to the data, at 12:30 noon of 31st March, there are 517 persons under investigation, including 2 suspected cases. 77 laboratory results are pending. At 8 p.m. of 31st March, MOHS announced 1 more confirmed cases, so the total cases increased to 15, including 1 deceased case. Around the world, about 800,000 cases are infected with the pandemic COVID-19, and over 38,000 deaths are counted till March 31st. That's all for now. This is Thora Swisen from MI Radio.
That's the report on the decease of 69-year-old COVID-19 patient suffering cancer of the nasal cavity, the first death from COVID-19 in Myanmar. And now we move on to the last report for the day. China gradually returns to normal after stringent measures are executed to put the virus outbreak under control. Majority of the businesses return to normal and life of people across China and the epicenter Wuhan recover day by day. The report covers the resumption of businesses in China and the President Xi's recent inspection tour to Zhejiang province, where economically important port exists. Akajo has more.
After draconian and strict measures to contain the pandemic outbreak in the country, China has eventually returned to normal. Businesses, shops, public places, public transport, factories, plants, and restaurants resume their operation in a gradual manner. China has now been seeing a dramatic surge in confirmed cases of COVID-19 in 4 weeks. The majority of the country's new cases are imported from abroad instead of coming from domestic origin. Mazaji Newin from China Media Group explained the update on the China gradually returning to normal.
ဒီတရုတ်နိုင်ငံရဲ့ဒေသတော်တော်များများမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်အခုဆိုရင်ဒေသခံကူးစက်ရောဂါတွေကအခုနောက်ပိုင်းကမရှိတော့တလောက်ကိုတွေ့နေရပါတယ်။ဒီစားတောက်ဆိုင်တွေရှုခင်းတာနေရတော်တော်များများလဲအခုဆိုရင်ဖွင့်လိုက်ပါပြီ။ဒီမတ်လ25ရက်နေ့ကစပြီးတော့ဒီဟူပေပြည်နယ်မှာဒီပြင်ဒေသတွေကိုပေါ့နော်။ထွက်တဲ့အထွက်လမ်းကြောင်းတွေကိုအရင်ကပိတ်ထားခဲ့တယ်အခုဆိုရင်ဖျက်သိမ်းလိုက်ပြီ။ဝူဟန်မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လဲဘတ်စကားလိုင်း100ကျော်တောင်ပြန်ဖွင့်ပြီးနောက်မြေအောက်ရထားလိုင်းဆိုလဲ6လိုင်းပေါ့နော်ပြန်လေးရောလဲပတ်ပြီးတော့ဖွင့်လှစ်ပြီးဒီလ29ရက်နေ့ကဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လဲဒီဟူပေပြည်နယ်ကလေဆိပ်တွေဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီပြည်တွင်းခရီးတဲ့ပို့ဆောင်ရေးအတွက်ကိုပုံမှန်ပြန်ပြီးတော့ပြန်တန်းဝင်ပြုလိုက်တယ်ဒါကိုကြည့်ချင်းအပြင်ဒီတရုတ်နိုင်ငံကဒီကူးစက်ရောဂါကိုကောင်းကောင်းထိန်းချုပ်နိုင်ပြီလို့ကျွန်မအနေနဲ့ယူဆမိပါတယ်အခုဆိုရင်ကျမတို့ဒီနေတဲ့ပေါ့နော်ဘေကျင်းမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်လဲတော်တော်များများလူတွေကသွာလာနေကြပါပြီဘတ်စကားတွေနောက်မြေအောက်ရထားတွေသွာလာနေကြပြီပြန်လဲပြန်ပြီးတော့စီကားစလဲပြုတ်လာပါပြီဒါကိုကြည့်ချင်းအပြင်ဒီကူးစက်ခံရဖို့အနေရတဖြည်းဖြည်းနဲ့နဲလာတဲ့သဘောကိုတွေ့ရပါတယ်ကျမထင်တယ်ဒီနောက်ပိုင်းတော့လေဒီကူးစက်ရောဂါပြန့်ပွားခြေရမရှိသလောက်ကိုဖြစ်သွားမယ်လို့သုံးသပ်မိပါတယ်ရှင်
As of March 28th, 98.6% of China's major industrial enterprises have resumed production, representing an increase of 15.5 percentage points from 23rd February. In Hubei province particularly, the epicenter of the coronavirus in China, 95% of the major industrial enterprises have resumed operation and 70% of the employees have returned to work. The service sub-index of manufacturing production picked up to 54.1 in March from February's 27.8, while a reading on new orders rose to 52 from 29.3 a month earlier. New export orders received by Chinese manufacturer ticked up to 46.4 from 28.7 in February, but were still mired in contraction. The country's service sector activity also expanded, with official non-manufacturing PMI coming in at 52.3 from 29.6 in February, a separate NBS survey showed. Chinese President Xi Jinping inspected the county of Anji in East China Jiezhen province on Monday, saying that China will roll out more targeted measures to help small and medium-sized enterprises hit by the COVID-19 outbreak restart production and develop further.
COVID-19 ကူးစက်ရောဂါဖြစ်ပွားပြီးတဲ့နောက်မှာဒီတရုတ်သမ္မတရှီယာပေါ့နော်ကူးစက်ရောဂါတိုက်ဖြတ်ရေးကိုကိုယ်တိုင်စီမံကွက်ကဲနေတာကိုတွေ့ရပါတယ်ဒီလ29ရက်နေ့ကဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သမ္မတရှီကဒီကြက်ကျန်းပြည်နယ်ကိုလေ့လာကြည့်ရှုတယ်ဒါသမ္မတရှီနေနဲ့ပေါ့နော်ဒီ COVID-19 ရောဂါဖြစ်ပွားခဲ့တဲ့နောက်ပိုင်းမှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်စရုပ်ထအကျဉ်လေ့လာကြည့်ရှုတာဖြစ်တယ်ဒီသမ္မတရှီရဲ့ကြက်ကျန်းပြည်ခရီးစဉ်မှာဆိုလို့ရှိရင်သူပထမဆုံးရောက်ရှိတဲ့နေရာကဒီနင်ပိုးကျိုးဆန်းဆိုတဲ့စိတ်ကမ်းမှာအဲ့ဒီစိတ်ကမ်းရဲ့ဒီပြန်လည်လက်ပတ်မှုအခြေအနေကိုသူကကြည့်ရှုပြီးတော့စစ်ဆေးခဲ့တယ်ဒီစိတ်ကမ်းတွေကဆိုလို့ရှိရင်ဒီကဘာတဝန်းကပေါ့နော်လုပ်ငန်းတွေနဲ့လည်းဆက်နေပြီးတော့ဒီစီးပွားရေးပုံမှန်လည်ပတ်ဖို့အတွက်ဒီတော့ချက်ကြတဲ့နေရာဖြစ်တယ်လို့လည်းကျမတို့သိရပါတယ်
Chinese mainland's total number of cases has reached 81,518, including 771 cases that originated abroad. The death toll in the country now stands at 3,314. China said on Tuesday its National College entrance exam will be postponed for 1 month to July due to the epidemic. Also, Wuhan will lift outbound travel restrictions starting April 8th after 2 months of lockdown. China temporarily suspended entry of foreigners with valid visas and residence permits from 28th March. This is Agajo reporting for Myanmar International Radio.
That's the report on how China gradually returns to normal. Now let's take a look at the international news. Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for efforts to respect and protect nature and promote harmony between humans and nature. He made the remarks while attending a tree planting activity in Beijing. President Xi said planting trees can be a symbol of rebirth as the coronavirus outbreak gets under control and Chinese cities goes back to normal. He also said China has been successful in its forestation efforts and has contributed to the global response to climate change and ecological governance. The Chinese president also emphasized the need to adhere to the principle of people-centered development, saying planting trees will benefit the society. He stressed that citizens bear legal obligations to support forestation efforts and protect forests.
Chinese President Xi Jinping has urged efforts to respect and protect nature and promote harmony between humans and nature. He made the remarks while attending a tree planting activity here in Beijing. Xi said planting trees can be a symbol of rebirth as the coronavirus outbreak gets under control and Chinese cities go back to normal. He also said China has been successful in its forestation efforts and has contributed to the global response to climate change and ecological governance. The Chinese president also emphasized the need to adhere to the principle of people-centered development, saying planting trees will benefit the society. He stressed that citizens bear legal obligations to support forestation efforts and protect forests.
That's all the reports we have for you today. That's all with the news and reports on Myanmar Today Review. Tune in every Saturday on MITV at 8:30 p.m. for Myanmar Today Review. Until next time.